everyone, I'm Heather and welcome back to my channel. So we are back today with the Radiance. I believe we returned the Oracle book. I still think the professor is shady. We should have our tutoring session today, but we did also do a ghost thing, so we were not able to find out who our ghost is, so I guess there's going to be more to that later. So let's go ahead and get started. It's time for today's elective class. Calligraphy. Today I learned more about the history of calligraphy. Okay, not that much there, but we got quickness and all that. It turns out my second lesson with Arian is not much better than the first. When I arrive at the small little study that is now our dedicated practice room, Arian does not even look at me before issuing instructions. Please sit and begin your visualization exercise. Start with the number 1. Do not stop until I have told you that you may do so. Numbers, again, I stifle a sigh and sit. Arian's back is towards me. Once again, he is scribbling something in the notebook on his desk. Reluctantly, I close my eyes and attempt to repeat the exercise from last week. I imagine big, bold numerals in my mind's eye. Wait 20 seconds, move on to the next one, rinse, repeat. After about 20 minutes of this, I feel like I am doing a pretty good job concentrating. I'm not letting my curiosity or boredom get the better of me, and I don't open my eyes to see what Arian is doing. Maybe I'm actually improving. Your mind is wandering, Miss Ash. My eyes do open this time. I can't help it. Arian has not moved from his position at the desk. How does he know whether or not my mind is wandering? Are you reading my mind or something? That is of no importance right now, Miss Ash. All that matters is that you complete your exercise. How long am I going to be visualizing numbers? When do we move on to other stuff? When you have sufficiently managed to keep your mind focused on a single task without interruption. But isn't he the one who interrupted me this time? I was doing fine until he decided to speak up. Currently, your mind is weak, probably in part because of your human blood. I am not unreasonable. I do not expect you to reach my level. I do, however, expect you to complete simple tasks that a child could do. Something it appears you are incapable of doing at present. My mouth tightens at the insult. I can feel anger and frustration bubbling up inside of me. Not only is he arrogant, but he completely underestimates me before he's even given me a chance. Am I wrong, Miss Ash? He's looking at me now, an expression that I swear is almost challenging, as if he is daring me to contradict him. Now let's keep my cool. This guy's beyond frustrating, but I really do want to improve. There's no use in fighting with him. You aren't wrong that I have a lot of catching up to do. I just wish you'd be a little more, I don't know, supportive. Coddling will not get you to where you need to be, Miss Ash. So being supportive is the same thing as coddling to him? I guess that explains a lot. As long as you are dedicated, you will succeed in your task. The more you fight it, the further behind you will get. I'm quiet as I look into his face, still completely expressionless. He isn't exactly wrong, I suppose. But I am dedicated. Why can't he see that? Are you ready to try again? I nod silently. I'm actually surprised he even bothered to ask me what I want. Then let's begin. I take a deep breath and close my eyes again. I get to about number 200 before he lets me go, with instructions to meet him again next week. Everyone take your seats. Professor Balin's voice boomed across the large classroom and all the students hurried to their seats. No sense in defying a siren, I guess. Last week's exercise and concentration went well, so today we'll be expanding upon that. This time you'll be paired into groups of 2. Your task will be to block out the distractions your partner will be providing. The professor looks around the room, silently counting off the numbers of students. Looks like we have an odd number. It seems Mr. Harrington only felt like coming to class once a month. There's a slight ripple of laughter around the room at the professor's comment, but I'm a little surprised at his laissez-faire attitude. It's almost as if it's an accepted fact that Gray isn't going to come to class regularly. After last week's short appearance, he decided to skip again. We are all paired off. One of the younger students is paired with the professor, and we spend the lesson attempting to disrupt the other's concentration. I feel like I did a pretty good job considering how much I've been struggling with the concept of clearing my mind. Class ends and I begin walking towards my dorm room. Strangely, I find myself thinking about Gray. Does he really skip every class? And why did he leave class so suddenly last week? He was acting kind of strange, saying odd things. The professor doesn't seem to do anything about his lack of attendance, which is stranger still. He's probably smoking in the courtyard where I first met him. Didn't he say that was his favorite spot? I wonder if I should go look for him. If we do, it should do an event. So let's go look for him. I head to the courtyard, which is now filling with students loitering between classes. I scan the growing crowd, but don't see Gray amongst them. I'm about to give up and head back inside when a whiff of that familiar sweet and spicy scent catches in my nose. I follow the scent and find myself in a shady corner of the courtyard, a good distance away from all the other mingling students. Sure enough, Gray is there, surrounded by his usual cloud of smoke. He looks even more tired than when I saw him last week. He sees me and takes a few steps towards me. The tired and drawn look on his face disappears, replaced with his typical lazy smile. "Were you looking for me, Oracle?" "You weren't in class again today." He shrugs and the grin on his face fades slightly. "Those classes don't really benefit me. The last thing I need to do is practice meditating and thinking about blank spaces or whatever." I think back to what little I know about Gray's abilities. On our first meeting, he had mentioned something about my aura, so I assume that his abilities fall under a similar subcategory that mine do. So you have your abilities completely under control?" He shrugs and takes a long drag on his cigarette. "As much as anyone else does, I suppose." That isn't much of an answer. I, for instance, have very little control over my abilities at the present. But then again, I also wasn't born with them. Professor Balin didn't seem surprised that you weren't in class again. Because I rarely go. How can you get away with that? Don't you get in trouble? I'm what you might call above the rules. And how do you manage to be above the rules exactly? Oh, you haven't heard? I'm the only son of the esteemed council leader. Without his kind donations, Sarenvale wouldn't have half the resources it has currently. His statement might sound like bragging if he didn't say the words with such disdain. So of course they can't kick me out, not unless they want to endure the wrath of Council Leader Harrington. So you're a rich boy, huh? Does that make me more attractive? It doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't really matter to me. Too bad, I'm not sure I have much else going for me. That can't be true. Hang around me long enough and I guess you'll find out for yourself. Do you get along with your dad? Don't see him much. He's far too busy to deal with me. Why do you think he sent me here? What about your mom? Don't know, never met her. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pry. It's nothing. I can't really have feelings about someone I've never met. My dad never talks about her. She might as well have never existed at all. I never really knew my parents either. Oh look, something else we have in common. The grin returns to his face, but it doesn't quite reach his eyes. Anyways, why are we talking about this? There's much more interesting things we could talk about. Such as, how about you meet me tonight by the fountain? There will be a beautiful moon in the sky. We could have a nice conversation alone, away from all this noise. Are you asking me on a date? Call it what you like, just say that you'll go. I pause, not quite sure how to respond. I already have plans to meet with Rayla tonight to discuss that creepy note. I can't miss that. But I am tempted. I'm definitely tempted. Playboy or not, Gray has my interest. However, this particular meeting will have to wait. I have plans with Rayla, not to mention I'd be breaking the curfew. Tempting offer, but I'm not sure sneaking out in the middle of the night is the best idea. The curfew, of course, my apologies. I guess I can come across a little strong for someone so innocent. I'm hardly innocent. Oh yeah? Tell me more about the ways you are hardly innocent. I roll my eyes, but find myself smiling at his boldness nonetheless. I'm headed back to class. I just wanted to make sure you were still alive. So you were looking for me. I turn on my heel and start walking back to class, waving over my shoulder. He calls out to me as I walk away. You don't have to play hard to get, you know. You've already got me. It takes a lot of effort not to look back. I keep walking, wondering how one person can be so annoying and so alluring at the same time. Time for today's elective class. Symbology. This week we focus on the symbolism of the natural world, including plants, animals, and other natural phenomena. This includes the symbolism of the elements, earth, air, fire, and water. For example, earth is often a symbol of fertility, stability, and endurance, while fire symbolizes passion, transformation, and courage. Knowing the symbolism of the elements can assist many magical practices, including chanting and magical calligraphy. Logic and endurance. As soon as I enter my room, I'm greeted by an excited Rayla. You're finally here. Are you ready for some detective work? I finally finished my interrogation. Every single person on this floor. Phew. Wow, you talked to everyone already? You bet. It took a while, but I found the person who submitted the blind item to the scryer. And I should have known, it was Clemilia, a fellow dryad from a different grove. Us dryads can't help talking, but Clemilia is especially gossipy. What did she say? Well, that's where it gets a little sticky. She told me what she knew, but it's not much. Apparently, she stepped into the hall just as the suspect was sliding something under our door. She's just across the hall, so she had a pretty good vantage point. That sounds like good news. Well, it would be, except the guy never showed his face. In fact, Clemilia claims he walked straight into the wall and disappeared. What? Is there a type of radiant that can do that? There are radiants that can move through solid surfaces like walls and such, but that's clearly not what happened here. It's not? Why? Because the suspect walked straight into our wall, meaning he would end up in our room. And I would have seen him for sure. Exactly. What does this mean? This person just disappeared into thin air? Impossible. There's no race of radiant that has the ability to disappear completely. Abilities like that are cataloged pretty extensively, for security purposes and all. So if someone could do it, everyone would know about it. So where does that leave us? There's only one option. He's a descendant. One of the ancestors of gods? Do their abilities not get tracked? Not in the same way, because godlike abilities sometimes manifest themselves much later in life, or not at all. Sometimes descendants don't even know what kind of abilities they have until they accidentally destroy an entire classroom or something. They're supposed to register themselves, but that doesn't always happen right away. It's likely this person acquired their ability recently. Well, I guess this could be the professor. So it seems like we aren't going to have much luck finding this person based on their ability. Oh no, I think we can figure this one out. There's only so many descendants currently enrolled. We just need to do some digging. Is there a list of currently enrolled students? Maybe we can narrow things down that way. Well, of course Professor Balin would have one, but there's no way he'd ever share that information with a student. And we can forget trying to break into his office. It's got way too many magical locks on it. Is there anyone else that might have access to those records? A teacher, maybe? Not a teacher, but... oh my goddess, I bet I know who would have it. Who? Arian. My grouchy tutor? Yeah, he's Professor Balin's assistant, remember? He has access to most of the school's records. And do you think he'll give you those records? No, I think he'll give you those records. But he hates me. Are you sure about that? Pretty sure. Well, regardless, you're the only one that has access to him. Since you know him personally, maybe you could just ask him. Use your wily charms. Somehow I'm not sure he'll do what I ask. If you can't use your charm, then you might want to consider acquiring those records in some other way. Oh, we're talking about theft now? Not necessarily. I'm just saying you can do it your way. My way. Got it. Now I've just got to figure out what my way actually is. What do I want to do this weekend? Okay. So we get to decide on our elective thingies today. Or not really electives, but stuff. Extracurricular stuff. So I have theory, endurance, control, power, logic, and insight. I think we probably need to stick within these. I mean, we could potentially do quickness and force, but I'm kind of thinking we need to stick in this group of 6 that we've already got some more stuff on. Maybe power or control because those are lower. That's logic, charm. That would be control. Let me see what power would be. Let's go to the spring, that's quickness, academics, leadership. That would be power. I feel like we did that one as well too, but we do want to get up these things. Let's do power. The Azurite classroom is once again full of students practicing their various skills. I spend my afternoon observing the others, attempting to learn from them. Okay. So that was just a quick one. It's you, isn't it? A booming voice sounds from behind me, and it does not sound happy. I turn around to see a girl scowling at me. She's obviously angry, and she looks as if she's been crying. I'm sorry, what? You're the Oracle, right? I am? You think just because you're special that you can take advantage of people? What are you talking about? Don't play dumb with me. You gave a prediction to my boyfriend Cosmo just yesterday. Now he thinks he needs to break up with me. You must be talking about someone else. I haven't given any predictions. Who else could it be? You're the only oracle in the school. The girl begins sobbing uncontrollably. She's obviously very upset, but I know I had nothing to do with it. Just as I'm trying to decide how to handle the situation, another voice chimes in. Hey, there she is! A very tall, very muscular girl is stalking towards me, followed by another girl with bright red hair. Both of them are wearing terribly angry faces. I stand helplessly as the girl approaches. She stops right in front of me with her hands on her hips. You know it's against school rules to charge students money for your lousy predictions, right? Now, if you give my friend her money back right now, I might not turn you into Professor Balin. Wait, everyone hold on a sec. Whoever's been doing this, it's not me, I swear. The newcomer looks to her red-haired friend, confusion on her face. This is her, right? The one you paid? Yes, this is her. She told me I'd never pass my exams unless I cheated. So I stole the test answers, but they were wrong. I failed the exam and ruined my chance at the top spot. See? How can you keep denying it? She saw you. This is getting out of hand. Something's very wrong here, but what should I do? What are my stats? I don't know if I have enough stats. I mean, logic is 24. I don't have leadership, so we're gonna have to do logic here. Figure out the real culprit. Listen, this is obviously a case of mistaken identity. You claim you saw me, but I'm certain I wasn't there. Is there some kind of radiant that can imitate a person's appearance? The girl stops to think about this for a moment. I may not know much about all the types of radiant races, but this seems like a logical explanation to this situation. I hope my hunch is right. Ooh, what about Desiree? The mimic? What's a mimic? A radiant that can take the form of any other radiant. Except it's 100% against school policy to use those kinds of powers outside of class. Mimics are usually one of the sullen. Go figure. Desiree could definitely do something like that. But why would she do something like that? Well, I know why she'd do it to me. Desiree is Cosmo's ex-girlfriend. It all makes sense now. Why didn't I think of it sooner? But what does she have against me? Why would she want me to fail my exams? Because you're top of the class, dummy. She probably wants that top spot for herself. Finally, the girls turned to me. I think they had almost forgotten I was here at all. Sorry we accused you, but you can't really blame us. No one really knows anything about you yet. Not really an apology, but I decide to let it go. The girls are already bustling off down the hall, clearly ready to confront the real culprit. Problem solved? Okay, my logic increased. Good. I'd better head back to my room. What should I do today? Okay. Let's check out. I think I was going for power. Let's go back to the room so we can get our control going. Logic was good enough to get a thing, so I think as long as we get into the 20s with these, we should be okay. I do want to get those up. I think it's going to be important to have some skills like much higher than others. I just don't think it's possible to do all of them. So let's do control, because that will be here. I spend the afternoon practicing meditation. Close my eyes, take a deep breath, empty my thoughts. I think I'm getting better at blocking out the outside world. Okay, magic control increased by 4. After my weekend activities, I stopped by the library, hoping to get some last-minute reading in before meeting with the council tomorrow. Professor Balin told me there was no need to worry, but I'm not sure I'd be able to relax if I went to bed early, so I figure reading is the best way to pass the time and calm my nerves. By now, I know the mind magic section of the library well enough. I also know there is minimal amount of information about oracles. But as I peruse the shelves, I realize that reading more about magic theory will not ease my thoughts. I want to know more about the council itself. After a few moments of searching, I find a small section of books dedicated to government and law. Feeling a little intimidated by the sheer size of the volumes, I picked the smallest one, A Visual Guide to Radiant Government. This book is probably made for children, but seeing as I am practically a child in terms of knowledge here, I think this will do. Miss Ash, are you here late this evening? I look up at the sound of my name. Oh, hello, Professor Mordain. Is it really that late? Late enough for the students to have cleared out. Of course, I prefer to spend time in the library after hours. I like the feeling of having the place all to myself. Well, I suppose I should wrap it up soon if the library is closing. What are you reading? I look down at the childish book in my hands. It's probably more pictures than words. I suddenly feel a little silly. Oh, I was just doing a little research. I have a meeting with the council tomorrow. You do? Well, that's an excellent reason to stay in the library so late. Although I'm not sure that book will give you the best information. He smiles at me, and I instantly know he's not making fun of me. He's far too nice for that. If you're still wanting to research, I may be able to help. The books in the main library are curated to include only essentials needed for the standard courses here. However, we both know your situation is anything but standard. The old library has a broader selection but is locked to students. It's fairly close to curfew, but I could let you in to peruse the books until then. Would that get you in trouble? Not at all. Teachers are allowed to use the library at their discretion. Just be sure you don't stay past curfew. Okay, yeah, that would be helpful. Thanks, Professor. Anytime. You know you have my support. Shall we go? The old library is located in the unused wing, locked behind large wooden doors. Inside, it is dim and dusty, but obviously still maintained. It seems strange to me that all these books would be locked away from students. Is there something here they don't want us to see? Here we are, all the knowledge you could want. Unfortunately, you still won't find much information on oracles, but there are plenty of other exciting materials. I'd recommend you start on this end. He points towards the back of the large room. I'm afraid I must return, but you're welcome to stay here until curfew. The door will lock itself on your way out. Thanks for your help. Again. Just ace that interview, Miss Ash. That's all the thanks I need. He gives me one last wave and disappears into the hall. Once he's gone, an eerie silence surrounds me. I'm not sure I agree with Professor Mordain's love of being alone in a library, but I'm not about to waste a perfect opportunity to see what's on these shelves. Okay, I guess I'll start back there. Unlike Sarenville's main library, this one appears to have no labels indicating which section I'm in. The professor said I should start on the far end, so he probably knows what topics are displayed here. The back shelves are crammed full with a myriad of dusty tomes. I idly run my hand along the shelves, squinting in the dim light to read the spines. Tablets of the Celestial, Mystagogical Compendium, Revised Treatise on Telestic Rituals. I can't even begin to comprehend what these books are about, but they don't seem to be related to my research on the council. I'm not sure if they're even related to each other. I pull one book out at random, the Lunisolar Almanac. It appears to be a guide to charting the movement of the sun and moon. Interesting, but not exactly helpful to me right now. I wonder what Professor Mordain expected me to find in this section. I'm just about to aimlessly pull another book from the shelves when my vision darkens. A vision? Now? I needlessly squeeze my eyes shut and try to focus. I see myself walking through the stacks of this very library, pulling a book from the shelves. It's worn and covered in green velvet material. I see myself open the book, and even though I can't see what's inside, a feeling of great significance washes over me. This is the book I've been looking for. I open my eyes as the vision dissipates. This is strange. I've never really had a vision resembling my own actions before, nor have they ever been so clear. Perhaps my skills are evolving. In any case, I know I need to find this book. Once again, I start searching the shelves, this time looking for an emerald green spine. I wonder what could be in this book that is so important. Did Professor Mordain know about this? Why wouldn't he have just told me? As I reach the end of the aisle, I stop short. Did I just hear something? I wait for a beat. 2. Nothing. You're just scaring yourself, Heather. And now you're talking to yourself too. Having reached the end of the section, I move on to the next. Okay, now I'm sure I heard something. It sounds like breathing? I stop again, listening intently. Nothing. I might be imagining things, but I feel uneasy all the same. However, I can't give up my search yet. I need to find this book. I quicken my pace, but the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. Maybe if I concentrate on the book a little, picture it in my mind. I use my newly developing visualization skills to conjure up an image of the book from my vision. Soft green fabric, worn at the edges, yellowed pages, a black ribbon bookmark hanging from the spine. I feel a chill cross over me. It's almost painful, like an ice cream headache, but I don't stop. I move across the aisle slowly, feeling the shelves with my mind rather than my eyes. When I turn the corner, the chill begins to weaken. I feel like this means I'm moving in the right direction. Sure enough, the further I move down the second aisle, the warmer I feel. I continue moving until my head feels hot and feverish. I open my eyes, and there it is. Well, what do you know? The visualization actually works. I pull the book from the shelf, and it almost buzzes in my hand. The cover is plain with no words on the front or spine. I open the book tentatively. It's handwritten, each page marked with a date at the top. This must be a journal of some kind. Unfortunately, it's in a language I do not recognize. It definitely does not use the alphabet that I'm used to. I flip through the book, and one word pops out. Aside from the date, there is another word on every entry that is not the same foreign language, but in English. Each entry is signed Sibyl. This is the Oracle's journal. I almost can't believe it. My vision led me here, so this must be very important. Only, what is it doing here in the old library? How did it get here? Suddenly I hear a thunk coming from the seating area. I reflexively slam the book closed. Ugh, that was much louder than I intended it to be. If there is someone in the library with me, now they know exactly where I am. Whatever it is, it's closer to me now. But where? Shoving the green book into my bag, I start moving towards the exit. My steps are quick, but I am not running. Whatever is in here is stalking me like prey. Running may be a bad idea. The sound is so close to me now that I can almost feel the breath on my neck. Okay, now it's time to run. I take off in a sprint, barreling blindly towards the massive library doors. The sound never leaves me, as if some disembodied creature is riding on my back. I throw my body against the exit and spill into the hallway. The doors close behind me with a low thud. The instant they close, the breathing sound stops, as if it was cut off with a knife. What was that? I sit on the cold hallway floor for several moments, trying to process what just happened. I feel disoriented. Was there really anything there? Surely I didn't imagine it. It's late. I better get out of here. All right, so this is where we're going to go ahead and end this episode. In the next one, we'll start this new week. I guess our interview is coming up, so that will probably be in the next one, I guess. But yeah, that's going to be everything for this time, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!